Guys, we need to talk about Fantom. It's been a little while since we've spoken about Fantom, and there's a reason for it. So if you look at Fantom's price action today, it's up 4.5%. It's doing pretty well. But have I lost conviction in Fantom? Have I fundamentally changed my belief set in Fantom? And do I no longer think it's a good project to hold going into the next bull market? As you guys know, I'm not covering it as much. I've not made many videos about Fantom. Why? Have I lost conviction? Well, the answer is no, right? The answer is I continue to have conviction in Fantom. I believe in the project. In this video, I'm going to show you some of the updates they've been working on and why I still think this is an amazing project for me to personally be holding in my portfolio. Now, whether you hold this project in your portfolio, you've got to do your own research. You've got to watch content creators like me, listen to Michael Kong, listen to Andre Cronje, do your own research. But if you do want to buy or trade in cryptocurrencies, Ijaz.uk/Bybit, definitely go check that out. But before you do that, you have to understand, I'm not always right. Go watch this video here, right? I lost $300,000 in a single day on a project, which was hugely up, and then I messed up. So go watch this video, because I'm a human just like you guys. Now I will share my research, that's what I commit to do, but I will not always be right. And that's why you've got to take responsibility for your own research and your trade. Definitely go watch that video. But today's about Fantom. I wanted to cover off some of the progress, right? As you guys know, we've been in the depths of a bear market, and for altcoins, you never expect them to go do crazy things, right? It's a bear market. If anybody knows the crypto cycles, you wait for Bitcoin to go to its bull market, and then altcoins have its moment, and then when you're into a bear market, Bitcoin falls to the downside, and altcoins get decimated down 90%. And so anybody with a rational mind who doesn't allow the emotions to get in the way should not be surprised when any of the altcoins in their portfolio fall 90%, right? It's not an indictment on the specific project. That's the environment that crypto is. We've not had a period or a single altcoin which has stood the test of time on its own. We've not had an altcoin where Bitcoin goes in a bear market that something like Ethereum is just pumping 100%, 200%, 300%. We've not had that yet. Now, do I think that will happen in the future? Yes, I think crypto will one day mature, and altcoins and different projects will form a life of their own where they don't rely on a Bitcoin seasonality. They will, but that's in the future. Right now, altcoins go into bear market. So when your altcoins are hugely retraced from all-time highs, there's no reason to panic. But what you do want to do, and what's really important is, one, does your altcoin survive? Two, do they make any fundamental mistakes? And I talk about things like Solana, where they have downtime and outages and the issues with FTX. Have they fundamentally changed the mission statement that they were on? If you had an altcoin which you were investing in because they were all about the metaverse and really trying to push on, and then in the midst of the bear market, they start pivoting their offering towards being like an NFT like step type game, is that going to work? No. Why are you suddenly changing? What happened? So when you look at these projects, that's what you want to look at. Just like a business, do they continue to work and do the work and keep building? And that's why I wanted to share this update from Andre Cronje. And of course, Andre Cronje is a big part of this. He's back in Fantom, back in the saddle, working really hard, focused, tweeting about it. It's clear that Fantom is taking up the bandwidth in his mind. Now, of course, that comes with a risk as well. And I've listed that on my risk side, that you now have a key man risk at Fantom. And this is a concern for me, because with Fantom, what Fantom did really well is initially it relied a lot on Andre Cronje. Andre Cronje left and everybody started panicking. And I was one of the first to come out and say, guys, the project is more than Andre Cronje. There's devs, there's Michael Kong, and we interviewed Michael Kong on the channel, and Michael Kong really started taking a forward step in terms of the public relations, and Simone Pomposi did a great job as well. But now that Andre is coming back, I don't want those guys to fall back. They need to continually show that there's a team here. We're not just one person, we're a team. So that's one of the risks I did point out. But let's look at the positives, right? And Andre Cronje mentioned 7 of them, so let's take time to go through them. Gas monetization. We spoke about this, right? Developers can now earn 15% gas fees spent on their apps. 16 active projects, 20K Fantom earned so far. Cool. It's just started. It's not a lot of money, but the concept is great. What other layer 1 solution is doing this where you're sharing the gas fees with dApp developers? Why is this important? Well, we're going to come on to it, right? You need to build amazing use cases. If you can't attract really good dApp developers, what's the point of having an Apple iOS store? It'll be empty, right? Would Android's Play Store have anything in there if there was no app developers? No. You've got to attract good dApp developers. Very, very important. And right now, they've got a lot of options where they can go. They can build on Near Protocol. They can build on Cardano. They can build on Solana and Avalanche and all various other places. Ethereum, of course. Polygon Matic. Right? So you've got to incentivize them. And that was a big step. And I think that was really good. It's not that they just spoke about it. It's executed as well. Number 2, Ecosystem Vault. 500K Fantom earned from gas fees for incubating projects. Great stuff. The Vault is doing really well. Over 10 million Fantom burned via the fee. Right? You can see here, Fantom on fire, 10 million burn. Right? And these are clever little things that they're doing. right? So from your fees, Fantom on fire, monitors the total amount of Fantom, 70% of the fees are paid to the Opera network, okay, go to the validators. 10% it goes to the ecosystem vault, which I just showed you, and 20% are burnt forever. Good. It's good for the tokenomics, and that's always been one of the strengths of Fantom is their tokenomics. But you've also got to look at it from the risk side, and that's the SEC. I'm going to come on to my risk as well, because from an SEC perspective, there are some risks which kind of overlay over Fantom. Right? One of the things that I kind of brought up in one of my previous videos is throughout this period of time, we've been looking at Coinbase and saying, Coinbase, why didn't you list Fantom? And we know that Coinbase have come out and said we have a very, very strict list of criteria that we make sure our altcoins adhere to, because we don't want the SEC coming after us and saying we list securities, because we don't. So maybe, and I'm just speculating here, what if one of the reasons that Coinbase never listed it was they didn't like the dynamics of it? This is a risk factor we have to account for. But it's not a risk factor that doesn't apply for many other tokens, right? The SEC has just gone after pretty much the whole of the top 20 coins in the market, saying they're securities. So it's something that's going to affect the whole industry. So it's not, crypto specific that we need to be worried about, unless you own Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, and you're just heavy on proof of work, right? That's a different strategy if you want to do that. Now, of course, I would have some of those in my portfolio to make sure I've got some proof of work in the portfolio as well. So the burning's happening. That's really good. What else did they do? Well, they also had their hackathon. Great, good stuff. They have one of the best ETH client development teams. Good. Move over to Fantom. Already showed 40% throughput improvement. They passed their governance to reduce the minimum validator stake to 50K. Guys, this is huge. I mean, when we started looking at Fantom, this was one of the things I even brought up with Michael Kong in that interview. I said, guys, it's too prohibitive to become a validator. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar, back in the day almost now, it was about 3.1, someone have to remind me, 3.175 million Fantom something like that. You needed a hell of a lot of Fantom to be a validator. Then they dropped it down to 500,000. And even at 500,000, I was like, guys, it's expensive, particularly in the bull market where Fantom's knocking, $3, etc. It's hard. It's a lot of money for people to become a validator, right? You're talking $1.5 million. So now at 50K Fantom, with the Fantom price at 30 cents, you need 15 grand. And I don't want to belittle the 15 grand, but it's 15 grand to become a validator on Fantom and earn APY. And why is this important? It's important for decentralization, right? You want a decentralized network. You want the average person to contribute to your network in the security of your network. You want more validators. Go and make it accessible for them. And now 15 grand to set up a validator node. Hugely, hugely competitive. And it's going to make a lot of people think about setting up a validator node, which further improves the security of a proof of stake blockchain. Cool. Really good progress. And then lastly, he said we are close to releasing our next two big milestones. Carmen, which is EVM optimized database, mainnet storage approximately 98%, overall throughput by 9.8x faster. Tosca, optimized EVM with a large range of enhancements, overall gained 50% over current EVM architecture, 4 times throughput. So in other words, when you're looking at this in a bear market, you're looking at a project and you go, look, this project is building. They're making, if we use the analogy of an iPhone, they're taking the iPhone and they're making it better. Right? If you're looking at Apple and you're looking at the updates in their documents, right? You're an investor in Apple. You look at the documents and they're going, oh yeah, we've created an iPhone which is now 2 times faster. The battery life is longer. The screen is better. The cameras are better. Everything is better. You're like, oh, this company's doing good, right? The sales will come. The attention will come. But at least they're building. They're not just doing nothing and wasting money. So these are all really important things that you want to look at in terms of a project. You can also see this tweet by Adam. I thought this was a nice tweet as well. He said, Fantom bear market achievements, FVM coming, database improvements, FTM bank, 10 million burn we covered off, gas monetization, sub 900 milliseconds finality, one of the best in the market, true finality, synchronous RPC, gas subsidy, security, Fantom wallet upgrades, validator amount reduced, we covered that off as well, sustainable long-term funding, we've spoken about, Fantom's got good runway, Solidity and Viper compatibility, that's very important for people to bridge over their apps, which is really important, multiple onboarding paths and growing cross-chain bridges. Progress, right? It's all good. This is good progress. And we can back that up with some of the data. I mean, you sit here and you look at the Fantom number of unique addresses chart, and you can see it's up and to the right. Is this something I should be worried about? No. The adoption is there and it's coming slowly. Now, that doesn't mean that there's nothing that I'm worried about. I think I've covered those off. I'm worried about the key man risk with Andre Crony starting to creep back in. I'm worried about the SEC and the securities and where we sit in terms of that. I'm worried in terms of some of the adoption, let's be honest. I think some of the adoption and kind of some of the more marketing, spreading the message, awareness, I still think there's work to be done there from the Fantom ecosystem and the team. Because you look at that, you look at the work that they've done. Who knows about it? Who's shouting about it? And how do you put that in a language that the average person can understand? That's what's difficult, right? Like, hopefully this video helps you guys understand what Fantom are doing, but I'm not in the Fantom marketing team. The Fantom marketing team should be doing that, right? They should be creating social media snippets and little shorts and little video updates and maybe podcasts and different bits helping educate the community on what they're building and why it's important. We need to see more of that because they're doing the work, but now get the credit for the work, right? Show people that you're doing the work. So that's one of the things that's always been kind of lackluster is how are you going to attract dApp developers and users? Because ultimately it all comes down to users. No one using your dApps. If you don't have good dApps, first of all, you don't have people using the dApps, what's the point of all of it? Because we already know that Fantom is an amazing experience for people when they compare it to something like Ethereum or Solana. But if they don't try it for the first time, there's no point us making it even better and better and better, right? You see what I'm saying here? So you can know that the iPhone's the best, right? If the iPhone is the best, that's great. But if nobody's moved across from their Sony Ericsson or whatever they're using, it doesn't matter. You've got to get them to try it. They've got to try it and then they have to believe it, right? And I think that's something that needs to be worked on here in terms of the Fantom community and the ecosystem. You can also take a look at the daily transactions. And of course, in line with the bear market, you are seeing it, of course, fizzle out. And they've got to start working on this, right? And that's going to help, obviously, when the bull market starts to set back in. You want to start seeing this grow. You want to see daily transactions. And you want to see progress from the ecosystem. So let's now jump back into the price action, right? What are we looking at here in terms of Fantom? I mean, on the short-term time frame, I'm sitting here on the hourly. You're in a nice uptrend and moving quite nice and powerfully here up towards that 32 cents mark. Came down to consolidate, and it needs to break through 32, right? If you don't watch my video from earlier today on Bitcoin, make sure you go watch that. Bitcoin's going to lead the market, right? I don't expect altcoins to just have a life of its own and just skyrocket. No, Bitcoin's got to set pace. And when Bitcoin sets pace, and Bitcoin dominance is going to continue to rise, that's fine. But eventually for altcoins, you'd expect Fantom to clear 35 cents. You'd expect it to start getting back to more exciting price points. And first milestone really is coming back to test the 57 cents mark, right? That's a very important level, getting above this wedge pattern, which we broke down from, and getting back to kind of these price targets between 57 and the top of the wedge at 65. Now, longer term, what are we talking? I think a lot of you guys are familiar with my price targets, but I'm going to share that for those of you who are new to Fantom in the ecosystem. I always like to use Fibonacci extensions. And so if you look at this, we're hovering around the 0 level right now. And what you want to see is the golden pocket. The golden pocket for me is always like your base case. If an altcoin can't return back to its golden pocket, which is less than its all-time high, of course, then you ask yourself, what have they been doing? If they made all that progress, which I've just showed with you, and then you enter a bull market, and they can't even get back to 61 to 65% of their previous market's all-time high, that's a fail. So I look at this now and go, hang on, if I can buy Fantom at 31 cents, and I comfortably expect it to get to 222, 233, what a lovely return on investment. And if I can continue to do that with lots of altcoins, I'm going to be doing just fine in terms of my portfolio. But then I go, hang on a second, why can't it get back to all-time high? Of course it can get back to all-time high. If they've progressed and made the ecosystem better, if the tokenomics have improved, if the validator staking has gone down, if the tech stack has gotten better, getting back to $3.48 range, it's possible, right? And it's very doable. And then you look at the extension, the Fibonacci extension, the 1.618 mark gets you to $5.50, and that's where things start to get exciting. And what I'm not even talking about here is in terms of the whole market growing. Right? If Bitcoin's breaking 100,000, if Ethereum is moving towards 10,000 and the market's growing, who's going to be those one or two top layer one solutions? Fantom's definitely in the running. And anybody who says no is just them denying it. Fantom is definitely in the running to be one of the better layer one solutions out there. That doesn't mean I'd put all my money in Fantom. You guys know I have a layer one section part of my portfolio, and within there, a sliver of that portfolio is in Fantom. Because anybody who tells you they know exactly which layer one solution is going to pop off, they're lying to you. You don't know which one's going to pop off, and that's why you want a carefully crafted, diversified portfolio. That when the whole layer one space grows, you benefit. And when the outstanding one really starts to stretch its legs, hopefully you've got an allocation of that in your portfolio as well. One final thing I did want to mention to you is Fantom has been doing really well against Bitcoin. I know a lot of altcoins have been suffering, and if you just look at the absolute price, yes, it doesn't look great. But that's bear market. We know that. We covered that off at the beginning of this video. But what I do want to show you guys is because Fantom had such a nice move here, at the start of the year, moving all the way up here to these kinds of regions, 660% move, if you guys remember at the beginning of the year, you're doing really well. So that's why this recent retracement here on, this is the Fantom versus Bitcoin chart, we end up net. We're about the same. So Fantom and Bitcoin so far this year are on par pretty much. It's not hugely outperformed. And this is despite dominance going crazy, right? If you look at dominance has gone crazy here. This is what dominance is doing right now. So every other altcoin has been struggling, but Fantom versus Bitcoin alone is fairly flat. So that is a really good sign for me. Looking at a project, I don't expect it to go crazy. We're in a bear market. I expect it to be retraced. I expect the price to be low. But how is it stacking up versus Bitcoin? When Bitcoin has those powerful green days, are we seeing life in our altcoins? Right? Bitcoin's up 1% today and Fantom's up 4.5%. That gives me comfort. That gives me good vibes, right, in terms of my portfolio. If it's not moving, what's going on? If Bitcoin's moving 2% and my altcoin's red, what's going on? What do the market know? Why are they getting out of that coin? These are the kind of things I look for. If you appreciate this update on Fantom, make sure you smash the likes, make sure you subscribe. Let me know in the comments, do you hold Fantom? Are you adding to Fantom? Or are you selling Fantom? Hold, add, sell. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.